my thing with Mahomes, I don't want to sound like a hater at all. I really don't. Uh, and again, this is kind of a refresh my memory type of thing. But outside of 13 seconds, what are his comeback wins? What are his clutch moments aside from that where you're just like Brady had him in spades? Like,
This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Welcome to the Warner Brothas Podcast. My name is Keenan, joined by my brother Kyle, joined by Timmy. Right now we don't have Brandon in the building, but we're doing all right. Hey guys, how you doing this morning?
Oh, tired, but we'll get through it. Just excuse my yawns, but we will get through this.
I like the intro yawn. Very
Yeah, we're here.
apropos.
We're here early Labor Day morning. Shout out to everybody who is enjoying their Labor Day or going to enjoy their Labor Day. So we have a little audible. We were going to go with the last couple divisions that we needed to talk about, but we're going to push that back just a hair because we've got a lot more content to come out for the entire week. We got many predictions, awards, bets, like everything. So, but right now we are going to get into my personal NFL QB tiers. I do this every year before the season, after the season, and I usually do one midway through the season. And so we've got 11 tiers of quarterback, and we're going to just start at the bottom. I always have mine tiered, but I also have it numbered. So I rank mine 32-1, not just everybody on the same, like you can argue the list, because I like to be definitive with mine. But if you guys are ready to hear, then I'm ready to go.
Send it.
So,
Absolutely. Okay. So we've got at the bottom here, we've got borderline NFL talent here at the bottom. It's the name of the tier. And that is Tyler Shuck, at 32, Joe Flacco at 31, and Daniel Jones at 30.
Interesting. Is Spencer Rattler on this ranking?
Spencer Rattler was kind of next to Tyler Shuck, was
Okay.
in that kind of same situation. They were kind of
Okay.
the same thing. At the time of when I put this together, it was Tyler Shuck that was supposed to be starting, or Shaw, whatever the heck his name. I can't
Gotcha.
think of all
No,
Shucks. Yes,
It's
all
Shuck.
Shucks.
You're good.
It's
Yep.
Shuck. And then Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck. And the Saints quarterback room, really, it's Saints
Interchangeable.
quarterback room 32.
Yep.
Browns quarterback room 31. Colts quarterback room 30. It's essentially the three list of what I have.
Gotcha.
So,
And then, if Anthony Richardson was starting, would he have been swapped with Daniel Jones, or would you think you would put him in another tier?
I would have. Oh, he would be here. He'd be swapped with Daniel Jones. Like, it would just depend. Like, maybe Flacco's ahead of him.
Gotcha.
That's
I
it.
think
go
that there's
on.
a good chance if Daniel Jones plays 17 seasons, he is not the 30th
I mean,
quarterback
17
overall.
games.
17 games.
I mean, if he plays 17
yeah.
seasons, he's probably on 30.
He's probably a Hall of Famer at that point. I think he'll finish like in the 20s, mid 20s
That's
if
fair.
he does just play the whole season, because he is a very floor QB. Like, he's going to lose them games. He's not going to have ceiling outputs a lot of the time, but he's better than a lot of alternatives. So I think that could happen.
yeah, I don't know if I disagree with the ranking as much as I disagree with the tier. I don't think Daniel Jones is barely NFL talent. Same with Joe Flacco. I think both of them are at the least quality backup QBs. So I'd have to have them above NFL talent, right?
Sorry. When I was saying NFL talent, I was meaning starters. Borderline
Sure.
NFL talent. So that was just to explain what I'm saying, but you can keep going.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm like Tim, I might have Daniel Jones ahead in general, just because I don't know, at his most average, he is like the definition of average, right? And at his worst, he's fucking bad. Like, he's backup level bad. But we have seen him take a team to the playoffs. Flacco, I mean, just 2 seasons ago, he had comeback player of the year. So last year wasn't as great, but he wasn't terrible last year either. In some spots he was, but he was hit or miss.
That's fair. Okay. That's fair. So that's the bottom tier. Next tier is called figure it out. These quarterbacks are in the league. They just kind of got to figure it out. And it's Cam Ward, 29, J.J. McCarthy, 28, Michael Penix, 27. Just these three, obviously, essentially their rookie years for all three. Obviously, J.J. it is, even though he got drafted last year. Penix only played a couple of games. And then for Cam Ward, it's a true rookie season for him. So they're in the, we got to just figure this thing out. I never know how to rank rookies. I always put them usually towards the bottom and let them show me. So they'll figure it out.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with putting rookies towards the bottom unless they're like generational hype guys. Like, I don't know where you had Caleb last year, but I'm assuming it was a little bit higher than this. But
Yeah.
Can't really go wrong here. I think Penix, we have seen enough to kind of believe in Penix to where if you wanted to put him at like 22, I wouldn't have blamed you for it. You know, like I think there are guys you could already make the case that Penix is better than. So, but I don't mind having him down here. I think it makes sense until we get real game film on him. Then we can't really rank him.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I agree with Tim completely. Like you could have Penix higher because he's definitely skilled. Or I'm not mad depending on where you have Drake May. I'm not mad at putting Drake May in this convo or in this tier if we've got Michael Penix here.
Okay, that's fair. For me, obviously, if I was to project like this is the end of the year, my thoughts, I would actually have Penix higher because I think like he's gonna have a pretty decent year and be higher than this. But obviously, this is just from all the information we have as of this moment today. So I just wanted to clarify that too. But okay. So far, so good. Next one, we call it Route 3 Bridge. It's called the Route 3 Bridge because that's the bridge we need to get to East Rutherford, New Jersey, and it's Justin Fields at 26 and Russell Wilson at 25 on this tier.
I think Russ, everybody's like in and out on him. Like, I think Russ is going to play more games than people think he is. I think a lot of people think Russ plays like 4 games and then Dart just takes over from that point on. I think there's a good chance like they are similar to the Steelers last year where Russ gets them to like a decent, like through 6 games, maybe they're 2-4. And I don't think that that's enough to be like, yep, we got to put Dart in right now. So I think he will play a couple more games than people think he is. Where would you have put Dart? Would you have just put him in the rookie tier there?
He would have been in the figure it out.
Gotcha.
He would have just been one tier below her. But yeah, Russ was in a position where I get if you want to put him higher, and I'm fine with where I have him, but I get it if you want to have him higher because I don't think he's like really washed or anything. He's not the quarterback he was in Seattle, of course, but like I don't think like you look at him, and you're like, oh, he can't even start at quarterback. Like he shouldn't even be here. Like that's not me at all. I liked what I saw from a lot of people last year that are above him a little bit. And I like him being there, but I do think he has the ability to go up a little bit.
Yeah, Russ is tough to evaluate because exactly what you guys ironed out. Like he was a playoff leading QB last year. I know the Steelers fell off, but it seems like people are more stuck on what happened 2 years ago in Denver than what actually happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think going into December, the Steelers were first in the AFC. And they end up being
they had a terrible month of December.
Right, yeah, terrible month, and they had a tough month. Like, don't get me wrong, but
it was a lot of tough games, and yeah, I know they lost. I think to the Browns and that they lost to the Chiefs on Christmas. They lost it. Like there was a couple other things that happened in that stretch too.
And my problem with that is people act like it was solely Russell Wilson. Like he went out there and was throwing like 4 picks a game type shit. It was the whole team, you know. That being said, I don't really love Russ and the Giants. I do agree with Tim. I think he's at least going to be average. He'll probably start 8 games unless he gets injured. And even then, you're probably getting Jameis before Dart. So, I don't know. That Giants team's a really weird team. And then Fields, I actually think Fields is going to have a decent year for the Jets. I don't think that's going to amount to wins, but I think it's going to be a decent year. So, yeah, I don't really disagree with where you got these guys ranked.
Okay. Next it's youthful ignorance. And I mean that not in a bad way. Sometimes you're just young and you're ignorant and you think that you can kind of do things and kind of go experiment. And it's also a good thing to have youthful ignorance. You don't get the wisdom quite yet of I can and can't do this. And sometimes that's actually a good thing. I think like LaMelo Ball, someone who has a lot of youthful ignorance, where he's like, yeah, I can try this random 94-foot pass and get it done. Like those kind of things, just because it's like maybe someone like Chris Paul's like, no, I should probably settle the offense. And where it could lead to a turnover for LaMelo, it also could lead to a top 10 highlight for LaMelo. So I don't think youthful ignorance is always bad, but I have the four youngish guys here, mostly young. Caleb Williams at 24, Bryce Young 23, Drake May 22, and Bo Nix at 21.
I think a lot of people are going to argue that Bo Nix needs to be higher. He was a top 10 QB last year, and I think most people are expecting him to be at least in that vein this year. So I think a lot of people would say put him towards the low teens. I don't mind the rest of that tier, though.
Interesting ranking of the tier. I don't know if I'm supposed to focus on the ranking as much as the tier.
You can. I mean, I have it numbered for a reason. I
think I'd have Caleb ahead of Drake, just given the games played. I really don't know what Drake May is going to look like. Like a lot of people have been asking me, obviously the Pats are my team. I can't confidently give you an assessment on Drake May. Obviously, he's got talent, but given the coaching staff he played under last year, it's like I can't really say he's better than this or that quarterback. Give me the rankings again there, actually.
Caleb Williams is 24, Bryce Young is 23, Drake May is 22, and Bo Nix is 21.
Yeah, I'd probably have Bo Nix a little higher. Bryce is kind of hard to put ahead of Caleb, just given how Bryce's career started. He really only gave us, 7 good games last year against, whatever you're playing against at that point in the season. I'd probably have Nix a little higher, just a little higher, maybe top 18.
I would get having him. I think with him, it's kind of, he's like right on the borderline because obviously he is the highest of this tier technically. He is on the borderline of the next one, and I could see why you could kind of finagle him into this next one. I'm good to move on. If you're good to move on, if you have more comments on it.
I just want to say Andy had better stats than Jaden Daniels in a lot of major categories. So he would have a grade. He would have a grade.
Nix, I was gonna say Nix had a very good year last year, so you definitely could have him a little bit higher, and it would make sense. But so my next one is pass or fail. It's as simple as can be. I think these 4 quarterbacks are in a situation where it really is. They either get through and they pass, or if they fail, like they all might not have the same team as they do this year, depending, obviously, contractually makes it a little more difficult. But I have 20, I have Sam Darnold, 19, I have Trevor Lawrence, 18, I have Kyler Murray, and 17, I have Tua. I think all quarterbacks could not be on their roster next year, depending. Tua would be the only one that would be. Tua and Trevor are the more difficult ones contractually, but like, if, say, the Dolphins or the Jags went 5-12 this year, I think both teams might be like, we could look for a new quarterback in a big quarterback draft. So that's why I think it's a pass or fail kind of thing.
I would take Bo Nix over Sam Darnold without a doubt. Like, that's not even a question for me. So I would probably put Bo Nix up a few spots into this tier here. I don't necessarily think he's pass or fail if I'm reading into the name too much, but yeah, Darnold to me is just a little bit. I'm way more nervous about Darnold than the rest of these QBs, and then I am still nervous about the rest of these QBs in this tier here. Kyler, we've kind of seen it. He has his flashes, can be damn near an MVP one season, and then just look buns the next season. So,
yeah.
Same with Tua. He's always kind of been like, Tua, if he plays 17 games and led the league in passing yards and maybe even passing touchdowns, that wouldn't surprise me. But then again, he might miss 6 games and the Dolphins might be a dumpster fire. So, but yeah, I would definitely take Bo Nix ahead of these guys.
All of them, just out of curiosity? Or maybe next to Kyler on one or the other side?
Yeah, I think he'd be second in this tier for me.
So you'd have him at 18.
Yeah, I think
Trevor at Kyler 19, Trevor 20, and then Sam, would you have Sam next to maybe Russ?
Yeah,
and Justin?
Sam in the Russ. Hey, it would still work since he was a Jet at one point in his career. Put him in that tier. So
fair enough.
Great.
I was gonna say, fair enough. Okay, I was just here. Kyle, yourself.
Ghost Hunter himself, Sam Darnold. I agree. I would have Nick shorter. I have Knicks ahead of Darnold for sure. Um, Trevor Lawrence, I'd probably have at 19, 20. Give me the rest again.
Darnold's at 20, Lawrence is 19, Murray's 18, Tua 17.
Yeah, you can make a case for Knicks ahead of Kyler. I actually think Kyler's gonna have a pretty good year. Like if y'all heard me talk about the Cardinals in our NFC West predictions, like they're
If you haven't,
probably
go back to that.
right. You'll have to go back to that if you didn't hear it. So I think Kyler's gonna perform well this season. Sorry, what was that last name again? What was that?
Last name?
Yeah.
Tua.
Yeah. See, he's the hardest to evaluate because he's like completely concussion dependent. So I think he's appropriately rated. You could have him like right at 15. I wouldn't care. You could have him 12, and I wouldn't care. You could have
He's
him at
kind of
20.
Kawhi-ish. Where like
Yeah, he
Kawhi,
really is.
like peak Kawhi, you're like, that's a top 10 player in the NBA, and then you're like, how much Kawhi am I gonna get? Like how many games of Kawhi am I gonna get? So you rank him at like 15 to 18 when he has top 10 potential, but like also has like top 35 availability. So it's kind of in that, even worse than top 35 availability, really.
For sure.
But yeah, I see where you guys could go with putting Knicks in that next one. I definitely understand that. He obviously had a very good rookie season. And out of the rookie quarterbacks so far, he's definitely second best. Obviously, Jaden's looked the best, but he was for sure.
I don't even think Knicks has that crazy of ability, but he's a guy you just trust, like just to be at the helm and control things. Like he has a very good control of Sean Payton's offense. Sean Payton seems to trust him. QBs is ridiculously hard to evaluate. That's why, like, you could ask 30 different people and you're going to get 30 wildly different rankings. Honestly.
Yeah. Some people are going to do it specifically stat based. Some people are going to do it specifically eye test based. People are going to do it for different things, which is why it's such a fun thing to talk about because everyone has an opinion on it, but everyone has a different opinion on it because of the way they view it. Like even the top four, like they have a completely different opinion on.
For sure. While we're here on this topic, I kind of have a question for you guys, and I wish Brandon was here for this. I kind of have this theory I've been thinking about. I don't know what the number is I'd put on it, but I believe you could make a case that like 95% of NFL players are system players. How do y'all feel about that?
I would agree. Just looking at all of these quarterbacks on this list right now, because I'm not really giving anything away by saying what's the only quarterbacks on this list that are not system, like that you could put in whatever system and you could probably make it work, would be your top four. I think Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, and Burrow you could put all out. And Burrow, I know people could argue, but I think Burrow, with how lethal of a passer he is, you can kind of put him in whatever system. And from there, like probably Stafford and Herbert, and then maybe Jaden.
I do agree. I agree and I don't agree. I think the number's too high, but if you just change the number, I agree. Like most of these guys are just do what you're told and will win football games type players. When it comes to like superstars, that's where they start to kind of break that mold. And I think there are a lot more superstars than just 5% of the league. So, yeah, I do agree though. Like you plug a left tackle from one team to another team. As long as they work, they work. You know, it's not like they need to be a superstar left tackle. They can just be a good left tackle and be a system player and get everything done. Boom.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree like with that idea because, I mean, Brady was a system quarterback for the first decade. Like really when Brady took the leap from Moss is where he became a guy who you didn't have to have a certain style of offense around him. Like he was going to make whatever work, and he made himself out to taking himself out of being a system quarterback and a guy who like pretty much was the system himself. I mean, but technically you could say that's a system quarterback, but obviously like within the years of Belichick, it was, we're going to do this. We're going to be a run heavy team. We're going to be good on third down. We're going to basically extend drives, move the chains, and we're going to play great, like, complementary football, essentially, was kind of that. Obviously, you could break down into exactly what the scheme was, but not many people can just come in and be Patrick Mahomes, and you have that. But even also, Patrick Mahomes came into Andy Reid. So, like, it's a lot. It's really hard to not be a system quarterback. Like, I mean, or a system player even, because like obviously not every running back can run in every scheme. They have some people are really just outside zone runners. They can't go inside. They can't catch out of the backfield. Like, so yeah, 100%. I would agree.
Yeah. No, I think it's a high number. I mean, just think about how many players we've seen go from whatever their base team was, sign a big deal, go to another team that plays a completely different system, and they're just a completely different player.
Jamie
especially
Collins, just the first
defensively.
guy that comes to my mind defensively. He went from the Patriots, was great, went to the Browns, was bad, came back to the Patriots, was great, left the Patriots again, was bad.
Right.
And it was like
every Patriots free agent that earned a contract has been just
other than Kyle Van Noy, because Van Noy did do
Van
well
Noy's
with
been
the
good.
Ravens, but like a lot of Patriots are just like, yeah, we play perfect in Bill Belichick's system because we know it's a do your job system. We have these responsibilities, and then when you're asked to do much more, it changes. Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
two guys that I think of off the top of my head is Nnamdi Asomugha and Josh Norman. He went from the Panthers to I think the Redskins. I think he went to.
Yeah, he was a Redskin. Him and Odell used to throw hands, go to fisticuffs.
Yeah, like it just happens a lot. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's a high number, I think, but
I would agree. I mean, Sam Darnold will prove that this year. I mean, Sam Darnold wasn't great, and then in the Kevin O'Connell system, he was phenomenal. And then if Sam Darnold just becomes phenomenal this year, then maybe he's not a system kind of quarterback, and he's just like now a good quarterback in the league or system guy.
And to your Tom Brady point and Drake May, Brady, I would kind of argue, was a system quarterback to a degree. Not literally like the way we're talking about it, but with McDaniels, that was a very specific offense that required very specific receivers. That's why I'm like super interested to see how Drake May does in this McDaniels offense, because if it's anything like the Brady offense, that takes a lot of not only accuracy but trust and like precision in the routes and receivers. So it's very timing based.
Yes. So Brady 100% was system quarterback, and like throwing through, I just meant like when he got to MVP peak Brady, I think you could have put him in different ones and you could have made it work. Kind of that's what I mean. But for sure, you're right. Like he played in a specific system that he really liked, because obviously that same system was not the same thing as he was in Tampa and still won a Super Bowl in Tampa. So, but like early on, if you would have thrown 2003 Tom in just some random offense, I'm not sure. He's so great that he would have made it work, but it wouldn't. I don't think it would have been an instant like, oh, that's MVP level Tom still. I think it could have been a little different, but okay. So pass or fail. We're on to the next one. We're on to the next tier, which is low risk, high reward to me. If you want to argue the low risk portion of it, you possibly could, but I think they're low risk, high reward. It's two guys. It's Geno Smith at 16 and Aaron Rodgers at 15. Because I think you're paying low. I mean, I think it's a low risk, high reward for the teams, for me personally.
I just don't know how high the reward is I think the argument here. I've always kind of like spoke out against Gino being like a top clutch QB type guy. So I just don't know, like his crazy season that he had in Seattle, the year of the Russell Wilson trade. I don't think you'll ever see a season like that from Gino ever again. So if that's the reward, then yeah, but I just don't see that happening. But I do agree he's kind of low risk. Like he's going to be right in the middle in a lot of stats. He's going to be a solid QB. And I think with Pete Carroll, I think he could get the most out of him. So I do like that. And then Aaron Rodgers.
Have low risk, medium reward.
Yeah, low risk, moderate reward.
Moderate reward. That's fair.
And then Rodgers, I kind of see a lot more risk with Rodgers. I mean, if you look at the 2 years he was in New York, an Achilles injury, like you can't really predict injury. So, but it is still a risk. And then the second season was just a shit show, like from the get go. So, if low risk means potentially being a 5-win team, then sure. But I think Tomlin is obviously a better coach to not let that happen. So, yeah, I guess I have a problem with the risk on Rodgers and the reward on Gino.
Yeah, if we did some like rearranging, if we did high risk, high reward and have it in the same area, I think you could put Tua and Rodgers in the same tier with their injury risk or Rodgers' age risk. And it also made me wonder, like, I don't know if I kind of go back and forth on Gino. In general, I'm a Gino fan. But him next to Tua, speaking of the systems we were just talking about, like, how do you feel like if you put Gino in the Miami offense? Do you think it would look better, worse, around the same? Because
I think
Tua's
it'd be
a bigger
rough.
guy
I
than Gino.
think it'd be roughly around the same, personally.
Could be. I think I like Gino a lot better just as a drop back, pure passer. But I don't know. I almost wonder if Tua would be better in that offense, but I think Gino would be all right.
I just think I think Tua is a little bit better when it comes to timing, and I think that McDaniel's offenses kind of have, even though they're obviously like high flying kind of ish, but they think they have a little bit to do with timing. And obviously, I think Tua's like a little bit better in that aspect when more the anticipation throws and kind of that kind of stuff. But I think if you were just like, I have to drop back and throw 40 times today and make the right decisions, I would lean Gino over Tua. Otherwise, they're 16, 17 to me, like literally. So like, I think they're pretty comparable as QBs, and some do some things better than the other, but that would be kind of where I differ on it. So I get what you're saying though. I think as a pure drop back, I think I'd lean Gino over Tua.
And in general, like Gino had a bad offensive line in Seattle, and they still got to 10 wins last year. So, so yeah, I mean, Gino's got a case to be. Where you got him? You said 16. He's got a
16,
case. He's got a case to be top 13, 12, which is where I think you had him going into either last year or the season before. I'm surprised you got Rodgers to side. I think you ended the season having Rodgers like in the 20s, if I remember correctly. I'd have to look back at the graphics, but it seems like
to look back as well. I think I had him a little bit lower, but when my thought of going through all of this, I was just looking at some of these quarterbacks, and I was like, I know Rodgers ended the season well, and it was kind of in like the games that didn't fully matter, but Rodgers is still throwing the ball well. And if Rodgers is able to throw the ball well with some good offensive weapons in a situation that is more stable, do I think he's a middle of the pack quarterback in the league? I was thinking to myself, I was like, I do. So I think 15, 6, I mean, that's as middle of the pack pretty much. Like it's kind of a little bit higher than middle of the pack, but I think it's pretty much as middle of the pack as you can get. And I think that's where Rodgers is at this point. All right. Are we going to go to the next one? All right. So next is earn your contract, and it's 14 Dak, 13 Purdy, 12 Herbert. If you wanted to switch Herbert and Purdy, I wouldn't have any problem with it. I get it. But basically, these guys obviously highly paid, and I don't mean it always in a bad way of earn your contract. It's like if you're going to be paid that much, you have to play like you're at that level. I think that they can. I believe in all these guys that can play and earn their contract. Maybe not 60-ish million for Dak, because I'd be best player in the league, kind of earn your contract. But I do think Dak can be like, I'm a worth the money kind of guy. So I have confidence in all three of these guys that they can earn the contract.
I don't think Dak can technically earn his contract because he could play lights out football, win an MVP, and they could go 10-7 and lose first round of the playoffs, and people would say that's not worth the $60 million. So it just depends on like what does earn your contract mean. Does that mean winning football games, or does that mean crazy stats?
Playing to the standard of why we paid you.
Yeah,
essentially is what earning your contract. Because like obviously a $60 million contract is Super Bowl kind of like aspirations. But I mean, all three of us, especially with Micah being gone now, none of us feel like the Cowboys have any Super Bowl aspirations. So like putting a certain win total on the Cowboys would almost not even be too fair to Dak. Like, oh, you got to get to 11 to 12 to feel like you're in your contract or something along those lines. I want to have faith every week you go out there for someone with Dak Prescott specifically. Like, that's a legitimate starting quarterback, a legitimate star quarterback in the league, because that's what his contract's saying. That's kind of where, and I think he has the ability to go out there and do it. I mean, we've seen him do that, especially in the regular season. Obviously, the playoffs has been where his biggest downfalls have come.
Yeah, I think for him to fully earn his contract, he would need to win a playoff game. Some sort of playoff success is what Cowboys fans are looking for. So,
yeah. And
I kind of love this tier, Keenan. I kind of love this tier. only because I can make a strong case for Purdy and Herbert and Dak all to be top 10. And you've got them on the outside looking in with a great tier title, talking about earn your contract because they are kind of in that boat.
Mhm.
People can make cases for real for all three to be top 10. Herbert in particular, I would make an argument for to be top 10. Purdy, I think I would too. I want to see him with this whole team. And people would for Dak, but I mean, I personally think Dak might be the most overrated QB in the league. I don't know. I just got to see it with Dak. Just one time, like, put the team on your back kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because if you're really that guy, things aren't always going to be perfect, especially in the NFL. It's never going to be perfect. Like, you can put up all the stats you want. Yeah, you can accumulate 10 wins. Like, yeah, you got talent, but, like, go put the team on your back for once and actually do something. Like, be that guy. Be the sheriff. You know what I mean? That's what you want to talk about earning your contract? Sure. But, like, go and be that guy. I know you were a late round pick, whatever, but you gotta exceed Romo somehow, right?
The
At
guy to
least
his
exceed
left was a late round pick too, which is Brock Purdy. So
exactly.
on
But
this
be
list, I
last,
mean,
but
he's
Purdy's been to a Super Bowl. Purdy's young. Purdy's still developing as a QB. Like,
mhm.
I think this is officially only his third season, right? It was his rookie season when he led them to the NFC Championship game, I believe.
I think third or
Uh,
fourth season, one of the two. But go on.
and Herbert, man, he's just got all the tools. He's got all the tools. He's just never won a big game. You can make excuses for him either way. I think I said it a couple weeks ago, right? Like, he doesn't need the excuses now. This is your second year under an elite coach. Your team's a little different. Yeah, you don't got weapons, but a lot of QBs haven't had explosive weapons. Like, if you're that good of a QB, again, just like I said about Dak, put the team on your shoulders and just take him to the promised land. If we're
Yep.
saying he's got Hall of Fame talent, like just talent, ability, put it together. Put it together. And a loaded NFC West at that, or excuse me, AFC West, put it together and show us.
Obviously, and I understand no one's ever said in their life that Tom Brady and Justin Herbert need to be in the same category, but I'm bringing this up because of the fact that Tom Brady would love a receiving core like the Chargers have right now. If you had the Chargers offense with Brady where you got a legitimate running back and then a legitimate second running back and then a Lad McConkey, which is this type of receiver he thrives with, obviously Welker, Amendola, Julian Edelman, those kind of guys. The small white receiver. I'm just saying those are the receivers that Brady loves and can thrive with, even if you want to not go white. The Chris Godwin routes, the elite route runners who have great hands. And then obviously even a couple rookies on that team. Like, I just think Brady would love that offense and we'd be okay with the weapons there if it was him. But obviously that's Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. So we
Be
don't
like,
talk.
Tom, who's the best receiver you didn't play with? Like, what names come to your mind? Like, there's got to be Terrell Owens, Marvin Harrison. I really like Cole Beasley out of Dallas. Like, Cole Beasley was the one guy I wish I played with.
Are you sure? Actually, the only other one would be Cooper Kupp. Actually,
That Hunter Renfro guy taking the league by storm.
Yeah, Hunter Renfro is one of those guys for me. Honestly, I think he's better than Jamar
Also,
Chase.
that Paul Nakua kid, that Paul Nakua kid out of LA. It's actually Puka.
Paul.
I don't want
Puka. What? That's too much. I can't do any of that. Bill wouldn't allow him in my office, so I couldn't do any of that. But yeah, earn your contract. Those two, all guys who at their peak are top 10 guys for sure. Like, you could argue, like, all guys who by the end of the year, I mean, maybe take Dak maybe out of it just because of the team's success, but Purdy and Herbert easily can have top 10 cases by the end of this year if they play their level. This next one, cement your status. And it's 11 Stroud and it's 10 Jordan Love. And I have it as cement your status as two guys early in their Jordan Love's not in his actual third season, but really his third season starting. Both of these guys, both have been to the playoffs twice. Kind of guys who came in, did the same thing. A little bit of comparisons with them just because of when they came in and how they were playing. But it's two guys who have the potential to be borderline top 5 guys in the league for sure. And this is one of those years where cement your status, especially now Jordan Love has Micah, cement your status in the league of how good you can be. Obviously, people have the ability to fluctuate. I haven't said Baker Mayfield's name yet, so obviously he is higher than this. But someone like Baker who came in, went up, down, then all the way back up, you have the ability to do that. But these guys having great year ones, a little bit lackluster year twos, but still having team success. I think these both guys are both in a position where cementing their status in the league and how good they can be or potentially can be is on the table for them in year three. True year threes for them.
I'm actually confusing myself with this tier because I would have Jordan Love ranked higher than CJ Stroud for sure. But I feel like Jordan Love has an argument to be in the tier before this, where it's like earn your contract, because he is paid pretty well. And what I remember from that playoff game that they won against Dallas was team success, not necessarily Jordan Love success. Like, I remember that was like a Matt LaFleur masterpiece of a game. He just knew exactly how to hit him, when to hit him, and what to do. Whereas CJ Stroud's playoff win was like purely CJ Stroud just picking apart defenses and stuff like that. So, and then it helps when your defense gets like 3 picks that game. So, it is weird. I don't know how to like rank them. I firmly believe that CJ Stroud is not a top 10 QB. So I think I would have him lower, like I said, than Jordan Love. But I mean, it's going to be right around this range. Like, I honestly think CJ Stroud is in like the Tua are like range. So if you give me like 6 QBs from 12 to 18, I'd put him in there.
So you, just out of curiosity, so you would have Stroud behind Herbert, Purdy, and Dak?
Definitely Herbert and Purdy. Maybe like tied with Dak. I think probably ahead.
So you probably around the 14-ish, because right now he's 11, so he's outside of the top 10 barely, but he is outside of the top 10, and Jordan Love ends the top 10.
Yeah.
So
I think 14 would be a solid spot for Stroud.
I think around 14. So Stroud down 1, Love kind of at the same from what I'm gathering, because you might want to have him higher, but like you feel like he could be lower. So in the middle.
Yeah, like if we combine these 2 tiers that we just talked about, Love would be at the top of the tier, and then Dak would be at the bottom of the tier. So
yeah,
there you go.
And then it'd go Love, Herbert, Purdy, Stroud, Dak to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get it. And I think that I understand. I think that there's a lot of flexibility and fluidity with these guys in this realm. I just think that and this is where the how do you evaluate your quarterback conversation kind of comes in, where I think we all have them around roughly the same. It's just we kind of like certain aspects of their game a little bit more than other aspects of certain games. Kyle, you go.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking ability, Herbert should be in that 10 spot. But in general, I don't have any qualms with this list so far. Like, this is somewhat of what I would have. Like, obviously mix and match a little bit, but like tiers wise, I don't even know if I would have this ranked this way, but the way you have it tier is kind of perfect. Now, if we're just talking head up, Purdy has a legitimate argument over Jordan Love just for being in the NFC Championship game and just for being in the Super Bowl for next year. But I think Love's top 10. And who you got 11 again?
Stroud was 11.
Stroud? He's so tough to evaluate just because of what year 1 and year 2 was. And year 1 was honestly like a month stretch where people kind of lost their minds about him. Because it's not like people almost talk about that rookie year like it was like a prime Tom Brady or prime Drew Brees like in the rookie year, or even like Joe Burrow, how he looked in his first 2 years, when it wasn't really that as much as it was them winning and him looking poised. Which is part of it. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't get me wrong at all. It's part of it. But then last year they go very run heavy, and it was more of a product of how he looked because of Bobby Slowick. I agree. In general, though, when you actually just like say, "Hey, go ahead and drop back," I like Stroud more than a lot of guys on this list. Tools, not tools, whatever. I trust him more than a lot of guys on this list. So I kind of like the 11th spot for him.
I think that cementing themselves is 2 different conversations here for each of them. I think with Jordan Love, because of the roster that he's on, what team he's on, the acquisition they just made, I think winning a playoff game, competing for the division, and then possibly trying to get to like an NFC championship game. Because I know now there are a lot of people's darlings to get to the Super Bowl, maybe win it, maybe not, but at least get to that Super Bowl portion. If they don't get to the Super Bowl, I don't think it's a failed year. I just think if they don't win a playoff game, to me, this is a failed year. Because like you can't get an addition like that with a team that already had made some additions in the offseason and then have the same result as last year. I don't think you can go. To me, you can't go backwards. I don't think you have to go like deep in a playoff run to have to be.
I will say that NFC's pretty loaded.
The NFC is. So I guess if they saw the Eagles in the first round, then like if they gave the Eagles a good game, you can't say the worst thing about it. But it also, I think they should put themselves in a position where they shouldn't be seeing the Eagles early. I guess is kind of where I'm at this point.
Sure,
but I understand what you're saying.
The NFC is so loaded. Like if you can get any one of those guys, whether it's the Eagles, Niners, you don't know how it's going to play out. If you get a tested playoff team early, it really just becomes a 50. They got the Lions, right? If they get any one of those divisional opponents too, like
it could work out. And also with Love is if you play well in that game, because you've had a couple up and down moments, like the 49ers, you did end up with a pick. And so like those kind of things. And then with Stroud, for me, it's definitely competing for the division. I understand that. And then how can you look this year in the offense when you have lesser players? Because obviously we know when he has his full array of players that he's looked very good so far in his career. And then we know when he's had a little bit less, it's gone up and down. I'd like to see he has a little bit less right now because obviously Tank Dell isn't fully healthy. Joe Mixon's not on the field. If he can go out there and still put up high numbers and a tough schedule this year, it'll kind of showcase what he really can do. And then you build that. Once you officially build the offense around him, you'll see what he got. But
we probably see him until next year, right? He's likely out this whole season.
End of this year, maybe, probably. I don't really know exactly. To be honest with you, it's roughly around like I think he could be back half of this year, if not next year. But yeah, all right. Pretty simple title for this next one, and I think we're gonna have a little bit of disagreements here, which is perfectly fine. Because of what's up higher. But NFC number 2, it's a question with a question mark. So NFC number 2 with a question mark, and it's Matthew Stafford at 9, Jared Goff at 8, Baker Mayfield at 7, Jalen Daniels at 6.
I don't mind it at all. I think I'm trying to like remember all the QBs that are left because I'm thinking like, who do you have at 5?
I can name them because it's not like it's a shock anymore.
That's true.
It's in no orders. It's Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson.
Hurts is the one I'm always forgetting. I always forget him. I think a lot of people will argue that Jaden could be above Hurts, and that Hurts is a product of the Eagles, but I don't mind this list at all. I think, can you give me the order again of this tier?
Matthew Stafford is 9, Jared Goff is 8, Baker Mayfield is 7, Jalen Daniels is 6.
Yeah, I think you have it in like the perfect order here. I think there's a good chance Matthew Stafford, like I might take Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff, but there's also a chance that he's like hurt. And then I would take a fully healthy Jared Goff over a hurt Matthew Stafford at that point. So, and I'd take Baker over both of them, I think. And then Jaden over Baker for sure. I like this tier. I think we could see 2 of these guys leap up into like the top 5 potential, which would mean Hurts and Mahomes have to come out because I don't think those other 3 are coming out of the top 5.
Wait, I could Mahomes?
Yeah, like a lot of people, especially if we're ranking like for this coming season, most people would put Mahomes at like 8 because the last 3 seasons he's been not what he was the first 2 years. Obviously, if it's like the question we're ranking this but based on like playoff game on the line, who do you want? That's a completely different question than who do you want for the season. So,
okay, that makes more sense. Then.
I think a lot of people
regular season based, and that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're telling me you need a quarterback to win a Super Bowl, I'm taking Mahomes 1. He's like the most proven one that can do it. But if you're saying like, let's go start a team this season and have a really good season out of it, then yeah, other guys would be in here. Or if you're telling me like MVP voting and stuff like that, then there are a lot of guys ahead of them. So I could see Baker and Jaden jumping up into that top 5 category, which would mean, in my mind, that Hurts and Mahomes probably slip out of it, and then the other 3 are just goats. They're always going to be up there in top 5 every year.
This is my favorite part of the pod right here because we can really start to disagree. First of all, again, I love the tier. I love the tier because you can't really argue it. You can't really argue having Goff and Stafford where they are. But I would say Keenan, like, you could make I almost think Stafford gets like a bit of a pass because I don't think he was great during the regular season last year and he was banged up. I think
He was one of the hardest for me
memory,
to. You could have told me he was. I think that's why he's on the same tier. But like I have him 9. But like if you said 6 to me, I could get it just because like we know what the peaks are and we know what he played like in the playoffs. We know when the games matter. So like he was
for
one
sure,
of the hard. Just to say, he
for
was one of
sure.
the hardest for
No,
me
for
to
sure, for sure.
number.
I think it's just when I hear people talk about Stafford, I think their final memory of him, which is reasonable, is that Eagles game, which he was like they were going toe to toe with the heavyweight there, right? Like they were about to deliver the knockout blow, in position to deliver the knockout blow, whatever. I also just think, like I said this a couple weeks ago, I really don't think like if you put Aaron Rodgers in Stafford's position, how much different is it going to be, right? I don't think as far as injury risk, as far as ability, I don't know. I think Stafford gets a little bit of a bump, but that's a completely different conversation. You had Goff ahead of him, debatable. I think we're going to find out a lot about Goff now that Ben Johnson's gone. I'm very intrigued to see what his season's like. Give me who else? Yeah, who'd you have at 7?
Baker was 7, and then Jaden was 6.
See, that's tough. That's tough, and that goes right back to the question I asked about Jaden Daniels being top 5. Like you could strongly make the case, and I love it, especially Keenan, because you got Hurts at 5. I'm assuming like he's in that 5 spot.
He's in, he's at 5. Yeah, because I think the top 4 is the top 4 wherever you order. It's how you order it, and then I have Hurts at 5. So I don't think I'm really giving much away.
You can't argue it, but you can strongly argue it, right? Like he deserves to be 5, but I think there's several QBs that are better than Hurts, truly. Like, and I remember when he came in after, I think it was after the season they got blown out by the Bucks, right?
32-6 or something like that, yeah.
And then I think the next year was the year they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And like I came here and said, like week 1, week 2, like Stroud's made a ton of strides, or excuse me, Hurts has made a ton of strides as QB. Like you can see it from season 1 to season 2 as a starter. Since then, I can't really say the same. He's clearly an unbelievable leader, which is like 75% of being a quarterback. Ability, though, I think Baker's better. I think Jaden's better. I think Stafford.
You can go to Herbert. You could go to
Herbert for sure.
Honestly, if you want to say Kyler of like pure just quarterbacking, Kyler's a great quarter. It's just he doesn't stay healthy or things like that. Kyler has like all the tools to be a great quarterback other than the height. Like there's a lot. I get that, and that's.
I don't know if I'd go with Kyler there. I don't know if Kyler would have been my example, but I mean,
I was naming my list down of like people who are even lower, or Trevor Lawrence even when you're going to just like pure like measurables and things. But I don't think that they're better than him as a quarterback.
Bill's not the smartest QB. I'll give Hurts IQ over Bill for sure.
IQ alone, yeah, but yeah, that's a different conversation.
When you say that out loud, like Hurts is a top 5 QB. I don't know. He didn't do a ton in their playoff games, if I remember correctly. Like it was very run dependent, which is they don't ask him to do a ton in that system. Like it's run first for him, not in like a running back way, but like they want to establish the run. They want to establish easy passes for him, and he's got like he'll throw deep balls to AJ and Devontae for sure. They seem very layup or 3-pointer, and it works. It very much works. But
they're the Houston Rockets. They're Harden's Houston Rockets.
And I don't know. I just don't know what it looks like if you put Hurts in these other offenses. I would have a lot of questions. That being said, he's coming off a Super Bowl, so how can you really argue it? And you can make legit gripes against Jaden Daniels or Baker Mayfield if you want it. Though I think Baker's probably got the strongest argument for 5. At this point, coming off his last 2 seasons.
So it also kind of comes back to what you were mentioning with system quarterbacks. as like obviously like the way Hurts is perfect for what the Eagles do. And I think with Jalen Hurts is I have him here. Obviously, they went to the Super Bowl. He was in the MVP conversation that year, and then they lost 38-35 to the Chiefs. Then the next year they start 10-1. They obviously go 11-6, and they get beat by the Bucks. And then the year after they get Saquon. He obviously has an all-time great season. They win the Super Bowl. With Hurts, you're right. His leadership is one of the qualities that you love. The fact that obviously he's a great dual threat quarterback. So obviously he has the ability to throw, but also he can run smart. And his willingness to say, like his just want and will to win as another thing that you have to kind of just, he's willing to do whatever. I know there's not too many, I don't know how many quarterbacks in the league would be comfortable all the time doing the tush push thing. Like, and I understand like that alone, I get the small thing, but like, I mean, Mahomes quarterback sneaks once and hurts himself and he hasn't snuck the ball since. Like I just couldn't imagine a lot of quarterbacks being willing to just get hit by defensive tackles and doing those things. And those are the little things that you take consistently to win. And those are the things that I think where Jalen Hurts are the intangibles that allow him to kind of rise up. Because you're right. And you're just like breaking down the tangibles, which is 3-step drop, how pretty is the throw, like how do you exactly diagnose the defense? And great, he may not be that fifth quarterback. He's still very good. Obviously, you can't do all this stuff and be bad at it. But like he might not be Baker Mayfield. He might not be Matt Stafford. But like I also think that and I think that's where the argument comes in with people. Is like
That's part of it, but also like look at what Sirianni asked him to do. He does not ask Hurts to do a lot at all. And part of that's them already playing ahead. Part of that's the talent they have. But
I think it's gonna be interesting this year. I think he's gonna have to do more this year, and we'll see for sure if
they have an extremely tough schedule. No doubt.
They have extremely tough schedules, so they're not going to be able to just be up in a lot of these games. And I think people key in on Saquon even more. So to try to take that away, because a lot of people have the same questions as you do, which is, can Jalen Hurts beat us with his arm consistently? It was a little bit of the Lamar conversations where it was like, Lamar, can you, because obviously Lamar was such a dual threat, and like, if we can hem him into the pocket, can Lamar beat us from the pocket? Is kind of the question. And Lamar went from being a guy where people question that to now people don't question that at all if Lamar can beat you from the pocket, because like it's Lamar Jackson, and people are like, yeah, no, that's just that's just one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the league, and definitively. So
call this a nitpick if you want, but difference between some of the guys behind Hurts and again, this is a nitpick, but Hurts himself, like Hurts down 10 in the fourth quarter, sure, he can do that. Down 17 late third quarter, I don't know how I feel about Hurts in that situation compared to Baker, compared to even Stafford, compared to even someone like Tua might be able to put up those points, at least be able to put up those points. I don't think Tua is a particularly clutch quarterback, but just have the ability to throw you back into a game. Because at the end of the day, yeah, dual threat is important, but to be able to actually like throw you back into a game, I think that's a short list. I don't know if Hurts is on that list. He can definitely make the plays. He can definitely scramble. And again, down 10, down 12, maybe even 14, Hurts might be able to do that. I don't know if he can lead you back from a 17-point game, like, yo, put the team on our back type of thing. But again, that's why it's fascinating. Like you said, we're going to find out this year whether he's justified in that 5 or not.
I was actually just looking at some stats here. The most attempts Hurts had last year in a game was against New Orleans, where he threw the ball 38 times, which is a decent number. It's not crazy. He averages like 25 attempts per game, whereas somebody like Joe Burrow averages like 35 attempts per game. Joe Burrow's high last year was 56 passing attempts in one game, and that's not even with an overtime or anything. So Hurts is exactly outside of the tier of make him win the game for us. They're going to play a better offensive game than a lot of other teams like that. Because if you look at Lamar, he's easily thrown the ball 40 plus times per game, multiple times per season, whereas Hurts will never get into the 40s. And if he does, I agree with Kyle. I don't have faith in him to throw you back into that game. So I agree.
Okay.
One more thing on Hurts before we go on, just real quick.
Can I just say this next tier real quick, and then we can? It
Real quick.
involves him.
It's super quick. It's super quick.
Okay, I was just saying it involves him, so I figured.
Okay, word. Because we talked about Brady, we've mentioned him, and people will say like, "Oh, Brady was assistant quarterback," or Brady wasn't asked to do a lot on those early Patriot teams. My comeback to that would be like, there was times when Brady needed to make the throw, made the throw. Hurts, I don't know if he was in that position a lot last postseason, and maybe my memory's just wrong. Like, that was January, but I don't think he was asked a ton to like, all right, we need this throw, make this throw, need this play right now, type of thing.
They didn't really have to. Last postseason, no. The one where they went to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, he did. So the last postseason, they were up on the Rams for the most part, and then Saquon broke that run, and then the Rams came back, scored. The Eagles had, I cannot remember how they got to fourth down, but then the Rams went down and they didn't score. And then obviously against the Commanders, they just boat raced the Commanders, especially in that second half. And then the Super Bowl, we know what happened in the Super Bowl. So that was pretty much their postseason run last year. But 2 years ago, like, he made every play you needed to make in the Super Bowl. Like against the Chiefs, like, he made every throw that you needed to make. And obviously that's one. It's the biggest spot, but it's one spot. So, like, I get what you guys are saying. Like, can you consistently do this, or did you catch Nick Foles did you catch that Nick Foles, where Nick Foles, obviously, in that last 2 games of his playoff run with the Eagles won their first championship, he made, like, every throw and every play. So I get what you're saying. It's a very interesting conversation. I think Jalen Hurts right now is probably the most polarizing quarterback when it comes to ranking him, because some people feel like, how is Justin Herbert not better than Jalen Hurts? And then other people are like, how are you even saying that Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert are in the same conversation? So
how is Shedeur not in the top 20?
Like, how is Shedeur not top 20 already? So the name of the tier, I'm just going to give the next 2 real quick because they're pretty much understood. One thing's going to be different than what I normally do, but best of the rest, which is Jalen Hurts at 5, Joe Burrow at 4, Lamar Jackson at 3. And then best of the best is Allen at 2 and Mahomes at 1. The one thing I have this year, other than what I don't typically have, I have Allen right next to Mahomes. That's my one difference that I personally have. I typically have Mahomes on the tier by himself because of the fact that I think he's earned that. Obviously, a lot of the times when I've done these is coming off of a Super Bowl and making every play. And obviously, he beat Allen in the playoffs last year. I just think Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are like how Brady Manning are now. I don't know how Brady Manning were, because I think there was a point where Brady got to a point where he was just above Manning, but I think a lot of their career, especially in the early 2010s, it was like Brady Manning were here. Like, same tier, but you'd have Brady over Manning for the most part. And I think that's Mahomes over Allen. You have Mahomes over Allen for the most part, when obviously not just regular season statistically, but like overall as a quarterback. But I have Allen next to Mahomes. Then Lamar, Burrow, and Jalen Hurts on best of the rest.
I gotta agree with Tim on this, because like what he was getting at when he was discussing Mahomes gotta at least drop a 3 for me. I think if we're going regular season QBs, it's unequivocally Josh Allen and Lamar. They've unequivocally outplayed Mahomes. If we're talking for one game, obviously Mahomes gets that spot, but I think enough has happened over the last 2 seasons. Shit, I was saying it 2 seasons ago. It was right before we got into the playoffs game. I remember I was in Tennessee. I think it was Christmas of 23. It would have been. And I was saying then, like, regular season wise, Mahomes hasn't been the Mahomes that we picked him up to be in quite a long time. And that was 2 seasons ago. And we're all assuming this offense is going to be better. Wright's going to be out 6 games. But if they go back to like a kind of just Pacheco based offense or a ground and pound type of offense, and it looks ugly, that's kind of my thing. It's looked ugly. We haven't had many great Mahomes games. Even in the postseason, we haven't had great Mahomes games, even on the way 2 years ago to their win. It wasn't really like a lot of like, wow, Mahomes did this that game. Whereas Lamar and Josh Allen, like, they have been playing incredible Hall of Fame level football. So if you want a guy for a game, Mahomes is opposite that guy. And if you want to put Josh Allen up there too for that, because he does play so well in big games, just hasn't fallen for him the way he wanted to. Sure. But as far as regular season, I can make the case that he's 4. I can make a case that you put Burrow ahead of him as far as regular season goes. But he would be firmly in the 3 spot for me. I'd have Burrow like tugging at him. Pause. Tugging at his jersey, I should say. But and I'd have Lamar and Josh Allen 1 or 2 for sure. However you want to put them. I wouldn't be mad at Lamar one. Josh Allen being the MVP, cool. I actually think Lamar had a better season last year, but I'm not mad at either one of them being 1 or 2.
I think if you're gonna put Josh Allen next to Mahomes on his own like pedestal, you got to put Lamar Jackson there as well, because like Kyle said, Lamar was like technically a better quarterback than Josh Allen last year, but the way the MVP works is it's most valuable, not best player. So um, I personally would have, I might even say Lamar's ahead of Josh if we're gonna like say you got to put him in an order, and I don't think that's crazy. So I'm in agreement with Kyle here. I think we've had Mahomes at 1 for like the last 3 or 4 years. And yes, they've gotten their Super Bowls out of it, but we've seen the decline every single year. And this is the year that I would be willing to call my shot and say, no, this is not the year that they make a Super Bowl. This is not the year that they have the postseason success that they have in recent years. So I'm at least taking my shot here. Yes, he's still going to be a good quarterback. Yes, they're still going to win double-digit games. Yes, they're probably going to win their division and be a high seed. But at least calling my shot, it's not going to be the Mahomes that we've seen the last, 4 seasons in a row where they make it all the way pretty much. So, yeah.
So 2 things to that. One, I was interesting because I was trying to think of like the best Mahomes style comparison to when Brady was winning championships, because obviously Brady towards that first portion, the Seahawks to the Broncos missed year to the Falcons to then the Eagles. In that stretch, everyone unanimously said Brady was the best quarterback in the league, and we knew it because the statistics were there to back it up. After that, when you get to the Rams Super Bowl, that year in between, and then you get to the Bucs Super Bowl, people were arguing in that time that Rodgers and Mahomes were better than Brady because he didn't have the statistical brilliance that they did in the regular seasons. In the first Bucs season, he was better, but especially those last 2 Patriots seasons, it was like 29 touchdowns to 11 picks, 24 touchdowns to 8 picks. You had Mahomes who had the 50 touchdown season, then obviously Aaron Rodgers wins MVP within that time frame as well. So, but I also do think at that time I would have said Brady was the best quarterback in the league too, regardless of those being the statistical outputs that those 2 guys were putting up, and obviously in the same kind of boat. Those
What
2
season
hadn't
specifically, Kim?
18-19, the year that we beat the Rams, and then the next year we lost to the Titans in the first round, and then going into that Bucs season with Tom Brady.
19, I probably would not have said Tom Brady.
So
19 looked like some genuine slippage from Tom.
and then obviously that, so maybe 19, but then that Bucs season, obviously they go 11-6, they win the and they win the whole thing, or 11-5, 11. I can't remember if it was 20 games at that point yet, or 17 games to get to that point, but So regardless, in that 3-year stretch, roughly, even when Brady's winning that Super Bowl, I get where you have the conversations between like Mahomes, Rodgers, and Brady. So like that's kind of the Allen Jackson Mahomes, Allen Jackson, dope. But so I get what you're saying. I still think that when it comes down to it, if I needed quarterbacks for a win, if I needed a quarterback, like if I needed a quarterback to get me a Super Bowl in that year, to the best one to give me the chance to win, I'm taking Mahomes over any quarterback in the league. And that's why he's my one there personally. I know obviously you guys put your points out for like in the regular season, Allen and Jackson have both been better than Mahomes, especially over these last 3 years, I think it is. 2 years for sure. I think 3 years ago Mahomes may have won MVP. But I personally have Allen over Jackson. Like Allen to me is definitively better than Lamar Jackson. By definitively I mean like he is definitively here. Allen Jackson's here, not like it's a wide gap. But like I just mean he's here, he's there. And my reasoning for that is I just think in the regular season you could edge Lamar. I think in the playoffs Allen has been much better than Lamar. Sure. In the regular season, you would say that Lamar Jackson is a little bit better than Josh Allen, possibly. And then in the playoffs, you have that Josh Allen, I think, has been much better than Lamar Jackson overall in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
Lamar's
know.
had one good playoff game, like 1.5, probably 1.5 good playoff games throughout his entire career, really.
Probably 2. And honestly, like some of those early mishaps were like really early in Lamar's career. When he was
Oh
still
yeah, they were super early. I mean, Josh Allen's first game, you have to remember, he had the worst lateral I've ever seen in my entire life.
I don't really remember the Titans loss because Lamar had a Titans loss early in his career, right?
Yeah, there was a year that he won unanimous MVP, and then they were bad. It was bad. It wasn't great. Like
I don't
that
recall
one wasn't.
like the worst performance to me he's ever had was that Chiefs game 2 years ago in the AFC Championship at home.
And
that was a pathetic effort on all accounts from the Baltimore Ravens. Not just Lamar, but especially Lamar too. 'Cause he had one pick there, I think, near the end of the game where he just threw it in triple coverage for no reason. I thought last year, obviously, I mean, we hashed this out last year with the Bills. He did every part of his job, including delivering a pass to a wide open Mark Andrews in the end zone. Mark Andrews.
He bounced back really well in that game because he did have the pick early and then he did have the fumble. But but he bounced back very much in that game. So I give him that bounce back for sure.
Yeah, and look, my thing with Mahomes, I don't want to sound like a hater at all. I really don't. And again, this is kind of a refresh my memory type of thing, but outside of 13 seconds would be like Mahomes' like top for me, like his iconic game, his iconic moment. What's his like? What are his comeback wins? What are his clutch moments aside from that? Where you're just like Brady had him in spades, like regular season, playoffs, like
Super Bowl,
especially that second
overtime.
What's up?
Super Bowl overtime against the 49ers.
Yeah,
Sure, but like
that's a good drive.
I'll give you that too. I'll give you that, but that was like, I don't know, it's pretty anticlimactic. Like I wasn't, and granted, I didn't even know the overtime rules at that point. I still think
that was the biggest thing is if he had to do it in the time that was allotted for overtime, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. But since they knew the rules, then they got away with it.
So I think the tough thing with Mahomes is like he's had those. They just all end with controversy, which is why it kind of is hard to think of. Because go on to me before I say
they end with controversy the other way. Like
that
he will make a game-winning drive to take the lead, and then when the other team rebuttals, something then happens that isn't involved with Mahomes. So like the 4th and 1 with Allen last year that we all thought he got, maybe not all of us, but so that's controversy on the Bills. Then Bass has missed like 2 field goals to win the game, so that's controversy right there. A lot of it is just he does what he needs to win, and then when the other team is literally about to win, something happens to prevent that from winning.
So going through, obviously, he had the very good fourth quarter against the 49ers after Jimmy G went like 4-13 in that fourth quarter, though. He was bad. He missed Emmanuel Sanders. And then, so that was a comeback win in the Super Bowl for that one. Obviously, there was the overtime one. In that playoff run, they were down like 24-0 to the Texans or 20-0, and then they won that game 51-31. So like that early on, that first run was really good.
That was the Deshaun. Deshaun looked like an all-pro, best QB in the league.
And so like that was like, and that was when they were the high-flying Chiefs and they blitzed them. And then when you're going through some of like the bigger wins, obviously the loss to the Bengals was his worst, like one of his worst moments. But then that next year against the Bengals, he had that late drive, but then got hit out of bounds. And then the hit out of bounds put them into field goal range. So like that's what I mean. So like he's had like those moments where it's been a late drive, he's making actual plays, and then a controversial call happens that leans in the Chiefs' favor, and then they win. So half of your brain doesn't you remember the bad rather than remembering the Mahomes good, which is not fully on Mahomes, but some of it you can also kind of gear towards, because that call I thought was an call. Obviously, the Eagles Super Bowl, was that a pass interference? But he drove them all the way down the field. But then it was like, was that actually pass interference there? So then we think about the pass interference before the Harrison Butker field goal to win it. So like those are the kind of moments that Mahomes has been in. That's been like, he's been really good, though there's been some controversy with all of these moments, which kind of makes it also difficult to be like, nope, they were just down 28-3 and Brady came back and won it, kind of thing. Even though like there's no controversy really there, even though it's just other than the play call.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a lot of like Michael Jordan moments where it's like, all right, definitive, like he won that game at the highest leverage moment, Tom Brady moment. You know what I mean? Like that's my whole thing with Mahomes because I've heard a lot of people compare him to Brady and MJ when it comes to clutch. And it's like, sure, he wins the games, no doubt. Like his game management is up there with Brady's. Like Mahomes is not going to make a mistake, in these high leverage moments. We haven't seen that from him. Complete
literally one game, which was the Bengals game where he played. That was his bad moment. I mean, but literally every single player has bad moments, so like we can't say. But like that was his one where he threw the pick in overtime, couldn't do anything in the second half.
Yeah, and like game management, he's up there with anybody as far as a big game QB. Slam the door shut, without a doubt. Like Mahomes won us that game moments. I don't know if they're up there as much with Brady. But this would be my thing too. I mean, you want to talk about dining. I mean, this is a completely different conversation, but talked about that Chiefs-Bengals game. I thought Buianarumo and Burrow's legacy was a bit inflated off that Super Bowl run. I didn't think they particularly had a great Super Bowl run, but that's a completely different conversation for another day. You just reminded me of that because you brought up that game. We don't have to talk about that.
I think lose makes more sense than I think Burrow was in the situation where he just never really folded, and we had and he did make bigger plays down the stretch of some of these games as well, but also his defense made a lot of big plays too. Obviously against the Raiders, it was the pick at the end of the game. Obviously there was against the Tennessee Titans. They, I think, picked off Tannehill 3 times. The defense against the Chiefs, so obviously it was a pick at the end. And so like there was definitely in that defense was very, very good in those playoff runs with Joe Burrow. Burrow's 5-2. Burrow's best moment in his 2 playoff runs was that win in Buffalo for sure when he went there, because like he just outclassed the Bills and outclassed Josh Allen in that game. Like that was one of those ones where you're like, oh, this is why he's such an elite quarterback kind of thing. Like he made great plays in all of these games, like when you needed it to, like having to deal with getting sacked like 9 times because your line's terrible, but still winning a game. I think it was 7 or 9, but you're right. I understand people do live off of that more so than living off of the fact of like, oh, he beat Mahomes in the playoffs, and like that's just kind of like Burrow's saving grace because like Lamar and Allen both haven't done that yet.
Sure. Last thing, I'm sure Tim's got some thoughts, but last thing I want to say that kind of gives credence to both of what we're saying here. I don't know the exact stat, but I don't know if it's season specific or if it's like this decade in general. But the Ravens and the Bills are like the 2 highest DVOAs of all time to never make a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Obviously being Josh Allen's Bills and Lamar's Ravens. So they play at a historic level. And again, I think Lamar moving forward, and even last year in that game, I think he's been able to shed a little bit of the playoff choker stuff. I mean, I think some of the stuff was early, and I think some of the stuff's been circumstance. Again, that AFC Championship with the Chiefs, completely valid. Same with Allen, though. Like, if Allen doesn't end up winning a Super Bowl, you look at his stats, like, he's so obviously a big game QB. You know what I mean? Like, the way Peyton Manning was early in his career, like 3-4 interceptions at the wrong moments.
That's been Lamar more so than Allen.
Sure. No,
like Lamar's more than comparable to Manning when you have the MVPs he's winning, plus then in the playoffs, he's definitely not been that. Allen's been better pretty much in the playoffs than he has been in the regular season. Like, Allen's been phenomenal.
You even make the case that outplayed Mahomes in a lot of these games. So
it's 25 touchdowns to 4 picks in his playoffs. He's 7-6. Like he's been 4 of the losses coming to Burrow. 4 of the losses coming to home, 1 to Burrow, and then I actually want to think one was to Deshaun. So
crazy.
Timmy, you have anything else?
No, I'm good. I think I've said my thing. I would take Lamar and Josh right this season. I would put him over Mahomes, mainly for everything Kyle said. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I agree. It does not sit well with me that Mahomes is at 1.
Conversations about the top. Mahomes doesn't deserve to fully be that top quarterback in the minds of Timmy and Kyle and Worthman to Keenan. He does, but I do think that he has a little bit of company up there with Josh Allen rather than him being on a tier of his own, how I've normally had it over the last few years. So,
And Shador should be in the A spot by the time we do this in January. So.
yeah, I mean, Shador will probably be next to Mahomes.
Before the season starts, Shador's getting traded to the Chiefs for Mahomes. So,
it'd be really interesting to put like Mahomes or Allen on the Browns and just say, "Hey, go win games," and see what they do. It would be really interesting.
You put them on the Browns. That's a Super Bowl team. Like they're pretty good
at defense. They've got some good skill position.
It's just interesting to see like if we put them on some of these certain teams. Like if we put them on the Saints, like what are they doing? Like they probably win the division.
If you put Joe Flacco on the Bills, they win 3 football games next year.
they win less. Yeah, but this was fun. I'm glad that we were able to get this done. This is my personal NFL preseason quarterback tiers. We've got 11 tiers. We'll have the graphics throughout the podcast here, as you guys have seen. But yes, thank you, Timmy. Thank you, Kyle, for this. It's fun. Hopefully, Brandon's getting some nice old shut-eye. Hopefully, he's feeling okay. We'll be coming. Yeah, he said he's setting an alarm for 9. He might have said for 9 p.m. He's going to be like, oh, guys, sorry, I set it for 9 p.m. Just had a long night after.
But fair, we had a fantasy draft at midnight last night. So
yeah, fantasy.
About 1:30. So
yeah, so shout out to Kyle for getting up for this. But Warner Brothas Podcast, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We appreciate everybody here, and we'll be seeing all of you guys very soon, coming with the last portions of divisions, awards, predictions, because week 1 is only a few days away. We're excited for it. We'll be here soon.